Welcome into the Royal Cougars Podcast. I am Kyle Ireland, and this is the third episode of the podcast. And today I wanted to talk about game number one for BYU because it is officially game week for the BYU football team. They're playing Portland State on Saturday, August 30th at 6 p.m. at LaVell Edwards Stadium. And I couldn't think of a better person to join me and talk about game one than my old boss at BYU Broadcasting. He was the one who helped get me into a lot of things. I started with him with BYU Sports Nation on BYU TV and BYU Radio. He does everything from play-by-play to hosting BYU Sports Nation. He also does the pre, half, and post-game show for BYU TV on BYU basketball games. He's the one and only Jarom Jordan. And here is my conversation with the man himself. My next guest on the Royal Cougars Podcast is a man who needs no introduction. If you're a diehard BYU fan, you probably watch him every single day on BYU Sports Nation. He's a co-host there alongside Spencer Linton. He also does pre and post for the BYU basketball games, and he does a bunch of other play-by-play for BYU. He's the one and only Jarom Jordan. Now, Jarom, I have to intro you this way. You are the man who is responsible for so much of my career, and I just want to let you know I'm really grateful to you. I was thinking about this the other day. So it's been 12 years this month since you hired me back in 2013 to be a production assistant for BYU Sports Nation, BYU TV, all that stuff. So it's been a crazy decade plus, but I'm happy to have you on the podcast. And how's life going? You're ready for the season?
You're pluming your feathers. You're out here doing great things. It's awesome. Yeah,
I'm no longer an ugly caterpillar. I'm a butterfly now.
No, I love the fact that you're still doing it, because some people start and they don't finish. They don't know what you're doing. You're still doing it. You've been in the industry. You're in the game. People know you. You're doing stuff. You're doing great work. I appreciate coming on. Yeah, thanks for having me, Kyle. It's awesome.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's a new venture, and it's exciting, getting it started from the ground up. I had a few good guests so far, and I was just going down my list of ideas, and I was like, I got to get Jarom and Spencer on. So Spencer's coming up soon. I'm going to reach out to him, but had to get you on before the season opener against Portland State this weekend. And obviously yesterday, we're talking on Tuesday before game day against Portland State, but BYU announced their team captains. They also came out with their depth chart. And I kind of want to start there, just a general thought from you on the depth chart. I saw you put out a series of tweets on X. You've got, a handful of oars on either side, offense and defense. But it seems like for the most part, the first team is kind of solidified. There's just some position stuff there. Maybe, you look at the safety room. There, a bunch of oars, 4 guys, 3 guys rotating in there. But I guess I won't kind of give more on that, but maybe just your general thoughts. Did you have any takeaways there from the depth chart getting announced for Portland State?
There was one, because most of the time I'm not like, wait, this guy's a starter? We've been watching all fall camp. We've been talking to people. The one that really stuck out was the fact that it became official that Ephraim Asiat is a linebacker now. He's not an edge rusher. He is a Sam. Granted, in BYU's defense, the Sam walks up and rushes a bunch, but he is the backup to Isaiah Glasker. And he's 210. He's not going to be edge size. He's going to be backer size, but he's got real good explosiveness and speed. So I'm interested to see how they use him. Specifically, they're going to get him after the quarterback, of course, but what's he like in coverage? How much is he going to play behind Isaiah Glasker? But could he be the next guy next year when Glasker and Kelly graduate? So that one really stuck out. And then that Jovessa Damuni took over third-string running back. He passed up Enoch Nawahine. He's now the number 3. In Aaron Roderick's offense, we see a lot of running backs. So Jovessa is going to get some playing time. Fans are going to need to know his name.
Did you make anything of behind Bear Bachmeier, obviously starting quarterback, true freshman, but you've got that quarterback battle was narrowed down from 3-2 between him and McKay Hillstead, and then Bear ends up winning the job. But on the depth chart, it was listed as an or between Trayson Bourget and McKay Hillstead to back up Bear. Did you make anything of that? Just the fact that it went from 3-2 and then now it seems like it's between those two guys to back up Bear?
No, actions speak louder than depth chart. In the fall camp, McKay Hillstead was clearly number 2. He was 1.5 for a while. He's 2. And then, frankly, Emerson Geilman is pushing Trayson for 3rd. Maybe even 2nd with McKay by the season's end. We'll see. He's going on a mission. Certainly you want to invest in McKay a little longer, but Emerson is a kid that showed well in fall camp, got his mission call to Brazil. He's leaving January 12th. He told me, hey, we might have to push this back for the national championship January 19th, which is fun. So, yeah, I didn't make a lot out of it. No, it's Bear, and then I would say it's McKay is the next guy coming in, and then it'd be TBD. Hopefully we never find out.
What would you say, based off of that depth chart and what you've seen throughout fall camp, is BYU's strongest position group going into the season?
Good question. I do like the receivers a lot. I think there's like a strong first three. There's a good next group that people are excited about with that Cody Hagan and Reggie Frischnecht and Tiger Bachmeyer and Tay Nakua, so 4 kind of unproven guys. Cody Hagan's going to get a lot more run, though. You're going to see him in jet sweeps. You're going to see him go deep. You're going to see him in kick return. He had 3 catches last year, a lot of special teams there. That's a good question. I like the linebackers. I think safety's probably the most loaded because you have 5 guys that have played a bunch. You've got Tanner Wall at free, Falatau Satuala there, Tommy Prassis. Tommy Prassis is going to play a bunch of nickel because Jonathan Cabea is injured. So Prassis wasn't listed at free, but trust me, he would play at free if they needed it. Strong safety, Raider Dumuni should be the starter. Town Alfrey's played a bunch. He's a 5th-year senior. They listed Falatau Satuala as the or with Raider Dumuni, so Falatau can do both. You've got 5 dudes you trust there. I think that's pretty loaded at 2 spots. Like, we can't say you have 2.5 times the amount of depth you need for the offensive line, the running backs, the quarterback, maybe the receivers, defensive line, where there's a lot of TBD there. Give me the safeties there. I think it's pretty loaded.
You had Chase Roberts on the program this morning. I was watching your interview with him. He's always great. Back-to-back captain for him. You've got a number of other guys who joined him in that group of 5, and then they kind of expand out. They do the whole co-captain thing with the leadership council and whatnot. But
AP, zone leaders, how it works. Yeah.
Exactly. But you have, an off season where, it was a pretty unique situation which, kind of took place with Jake leaving the program later in the summer than, you would typically see a starting quarterback leave a program if they leave at all, or, just that transition kind of, put things in flux, so to speak. Obviously, You have a quarterback battle for another year, but you've got Chase, good leader. You've got some of those other guys, Keanu Tanavasa coming in, who just seems like such a stud and a great get for the program coming in. You've got Tanner Wall, LJ Martin's now a captain. But I guess just let me kind of wrap this into one question. Where do you think, based off of all the kind of, changes that have taken place between last season and now, this leadership council sits at with, this season being different from last year? How does the leadership look for this team? And do you think that based off the expectations of an 11-win season, the leadership is there to really just follow that up in 2025 with another successful year based off of the guys that have stayed and obviously Keanu kind of coming into that group?
I think there are great leaders on this team. I really do. And some born of being in the program several years. Like, you always got great continuity. Yes, they added some transfers, but it was a smattering. It was a sprinkling of meaningful transfers. The Carson Ryans, Keanu Tanavasas, the Andrew Gentrys, and so on. There aren't a million transfers here. This is a culture where you want – Bear Bachmeyer as a transfer. You just had it at certain spots where you needed it, right? You have leaders who are back for a second or third or fourth or fifth season in Chase Roberts. Isaiah Glasker has waited his time. Jack Kelly. Keanu Tanavasa came from the rival, and now he's perhaps the loudest voice on the defense. That is really interesting. Tells you a lot about his character and who he is. Carson Ryan comes in right away, and he's going to be loud on the field. I think it's a really good culture. I think BYU is really hungry. It's not just talk. They feel like, hey, we can better what we did last year. Now, certainly with the true freshmen, the standard is a little different because since 2000, only 4 true freshmen have led their teams to 10 or more wins. It's just hard to win with the true freshmen. Yet, Kalani Sitake has said things like, but we have Bear Bachmeyer. Like, Bear is different. Bear is not your typical true freshman. Obviously, being in another school, being as highly recruited as he's been, as smart as he is, the work he's put in with John Beck, which I know every BYU fans love when the quarterback works with John Beck. All 3, by the way, that we're competing, worked with John Beck. Of course, John would do that for us. Come on.
Well, we're
But
just going to hear about it on ESPN and
you'll hear
Fox
about
and over.
47, John Beck. You'll hear about the
Did he
brothers.
drive to California?
Yeah, I think he flew. But NIL era, they fly now. They don't have to drive during COVID. But to answer your question, there's great leadership, there's great culture, there's a hunger, there's a chip on the shoulder. People don't think they can do it. And what does success look like? To me, BYU's in that 8 to 9 win space. I'm leaning on 9. I'm feeling pretty good about this team. If they can take care of the football, win some close games, lean on Will Farron, lean on the run game, I think the defense will be good again. BYU's not asking the quarterback to be crazy awesome. There's some programs where if that quarterback's not good, they won't be good. That's not the case. Jake Retzoff, I would say, had a good year. I would not say it was very good or great last year. 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, sub 60%, sub 3,000 yards. Those weren't monster numbers. Was he clutch at times? Did he make critical plays? Yes. Were they asking him every game to win for them? Absolutely not. So Bear Bachmeier, and with a nice ramp-up schedule, Kyle, this is the perfect situation for a true freshman to come into. It really is.
Let's start there. Let's start with the season opener against Portland State, because obviously we saw what happened to them in week 0. They get blasted. What does success look like for, I mean, obviously the win is the most important thing coming out of the game. But I don't think anybody, I don't think that anybody expects them to lose this game,
No.
right? But or like have it be a Portland State 2017 type of performance at all, right? So what does success look like for this team coming out of Saturday? Is health paramount? Is Bear getting, a ton of playing time the most important thing? Getting some chemistry with his guys? What do you think is the paramount thing other than the win? And I guess maybe I'll throw health into that category as well, because obviously you want to stay healthy. But what are you looking for as like objectives that you want to see? Like these things need to be checked off on Saturday.
Take care of the football. If we're talking about winning and health are assumed, take care of the football, establish the run, shut them down on defense, be explosive when it's there. To me, that's the formula. Because if Bear shows, okay, I can play a clean game. Aaron Roderick's love languages are take care of the football, be explosive when it's there. He loves that stuff. Play action pass, that's how BYU gets deep. They don't just shotgun chuck it. Like they very calculated about when it's there. And establish Carson Ryan. It'd be good to feel like, okay, hey, BYU's got an every down tight end. Aaron Roderick emphasized that on Coordinator's Corner yesterday. To the point where I was like, oh, he's telling us the reason they haven't had good tight end play the last couple of years because they didn't have an every down guy. And it was too obvious when they would flex the guy out or when they would have him in line, he would just block or be a wing off the other tight end or the tackle. Now Carson Ryan, he says, is an every down guy. Okay, what does that look like? Does LJ Martin look good? Is Sione Moa pick up where he left off last year? Because we saw him in doses and he was an excellent appetizer for BYU fans. Can Chase Roberts continue to be Chase Roberts? We already know what he is. We don't need anything special against Portland State, but just give me a 42-3 win where everybody's healthy and it was pretty smooth and you were +3 in the margin and no giveaways. And we move on to Stanford. And then it gets a little more serious in the Bachmeier Bowl because obviously he was there and they're like 8 dudes. Remember, LJ Martin was committed to Stanford when BYU played Stanford in 22. David Shaw says, hey, I'm done. LJ decommits. He comes here, and now he could be a guy that he could become the first BYU player to lead BYU in rushing for 4 straight years. He's done it the first 2.
Yeah, I think the big thing for LJ specifically is, man, he's got to stay healthy and prove that he can. And it feels like, I mean, they talked about it early on in camp, like he's kind of changed his body. Seems like he's in a lot better position going into this season than he was his first 2 years. And obviously, like freshman year, you kind of chalk it up to, freshman, but last year banged up. Hopefully we can see that, especially with, there's been some injuries in that running back room, the whole situation with Hinckley, whether or not he's going to be there or not this season. It would be nice to have, especially with the freshman quarterback, to be able to lean on LJ, game in, game out, feed him the rock early and often, as they say. But let me get some quick hits for you before I let you go. I've got, obviously, Portland State. That's the subject of the week, but you've got the Mariners flag behind you. We're both Mariner fans, and Cal Raleigh's having an awesome season.
Yeah,
so
babe.
we want to see here, Jarom Jordan, what do you think is more likely? BYU scores 60 plus or Cal Raleigh hits 60 plus home runs this year? Against Portland State.
Yeah. Cal Raleigh is pacing for that. And here's the thing. Kalani Sitake almost has too much sportsmanship. Like, he gears down pretty early and makes it vanilla, and BYU doesn't run it up on anybody. He's a nice guy. He's nicer than I am. I want to see BYU put up 80, like Oregon did against Portland State a couple of years ago. Give me Cal Raleigh, because I just feel like BYU gears down. Unless they're at 50-something at halftime, they're not going to get to 60 that easily. So give me a big dumper. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've seen that. It's kind of the script that's taken place when they play these FCS programs with Kalani, especially in recent years. It feels like that's more so the case, where it's just like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's keep everybody healthy. Let some young guys get some run. And, I wouldn't even be surprised if Portland State scores a touchdown in the fourth quarter or something like that.
Which is like, wait, they didn't score against Tarleton State, which, by the way, they missed a couple field goals that would have put them up.
Yeah.
Especially late. But a bunch of the coaching staff for BYU has been on FCS squads, so they know what this is like. I think they have a little more empathy than your average coaching staff. Jay Hill, of course. But Kalani was at Southern Utah. Gennaro Guilford was at Southern Utah. Fessy, of course, played FCS football. So
they know what the pay game was like on the other side, for sure.
Yep.
For sure. All right. What player is most likely to have a wow moment, highlight kind of play in the opener?
I always think Chase Roberts. I just think he's spectacular. I think he's the closest thing we've had to Austin Collie, Cody Hoffman. Like, to me, Chase is a top 10 guy, maybe top 5 in BYU history. I mean, he's just fantastic. There's nothing he can't do, whether it's blocking, going deep, hands, fourth downs, whatever. We saw clutch plays last year against Oklahoma State, Utah, when you needed drives, you had Chase Roberts involved. That catch against Baylor in 22 was incredible as a redshirt freshman. So give me Chase, man.
What is more likely? BYU wins double-digit games or finishes below 500 for the season?
Since I think they're going to be 9-3, give me 10-plus wins, which would be incredible. I don't see a scenario of BYU 6-6 or worse. Obviously, injuries could change that. But if Bear's healthy and LJ's healthy and that kind of thing, I just think BYU's got a good team. I think they have a really good defense. I think they have an elite special teams. And I think offensively, you've got a lot of good weapons. You bring in 2 good tackles they're excited about with Jada and Gentry. Gentry's a national champ, 3 years at Michigan. That experience is great. I'm excited about the possibility that BYU is kind of probably like an 8-win team if you play it 100 times, but they're not. They're playing it once. And if you can be good in one-score games like last year, 4-2, that could get you close to double digits. Come on.
All right. What do you have to tease for us? I know you got BYU football with Kalani Sitake kicking off tonight on BYU TV. You guys started Match Monday again. I love that on Mondays. It's one of my favorite segments of the season. It's consistent every single Monday after games.
Black shirt,
getting the breakdown.
Hair, lineman. I love Trevor.
Ready to go. No, Trevor's great. But what do you have to tease for us? Obviously, you've got the pregame show and postgame stuff on game day. But you have anything else that you can tease for the week?
Yeah, we're going to chat with Tanner Mangum coming up on Friday. What's it like to start as a true freshman? What's the challenge that kind of Bear is walking into here as he embarks on this schedule, this season? And we've aired interviews with Bear Bachmeier, Chase Roberts, Trevor Matich. We're just trying to bring it on a game week. So going to have a fun conversation with Tanner, and we'll get deep into the weeds on kind of what to expect in game one and look ahead and what BYU needs to sort of figure out, but not. They don't need a ton, right? But what do they need to figure out against Portland State?
He's a troubled BYU/Mariners fan like myself. Let's see if we can get into the postseason.
Come on, baby!
In both situations here this year, we're gonna get Cal the MVP. We're gonna break the World Series drought. We're gonna finally get there. I expect it. You can follow Jarom.
I got Julio here.
Come on. My gosh,
let's go.
I love it.
Yeah.
You can follow Jarom on social media at Jarom Jordan. Make sure you tune into all things BYU Sports Nation, BYU TV. Jarom, I appreciate it, and best of luck this season. We'll try and catch up again maybe down the road, and hopefully it's after BYU starts the year off like 8-0 or something.
Let's do it again. Come on, run it back, baby. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Jarom. That was my conversation earlier with BYU Sports Nation's Jarom Jordan. Be sure to follow Jarom on social media at Jarom Jordan. Be sure to watch BYU Sports Nation. Follow BYU TV, BYU Radio. They do a great job. I'm looking forward to that interview with Tanner Mangum later on this week, heading into game day on Saturday. And they obviously do a great job with the pre-half and post-game shows, but they've got pre- and post-game for BYU football on Saturday, which I'll be tuning into as well before kickoff against Portland State. As far as game number 1 is concerned, I'm going to give a score prediction. BYU, I'm going to say 65 to Portland State's 7. I'm going to say that Portland State scores a late touchdown to get rid of the shutout. And I think that, the way that me and Jarom were talking earlier about the way that BYU kind of handles these FCS opponents, they don't want to run up the score. I think they're going to get plenty of points up earlier on in the game, so expect maybe, a touchdown or a field goal late from Portland State just to kind of erase the 0 off the scoreboard there. But that'll do it for this edition of the podcast. Be sure to visit royalcougars.com. Have a story up on the depth chart and also the team captains. We're going to have some other stuff up later this week. And then be sure to follow us on social media at Royal Cougs. Until later on in this week and getting ready for game day, this has been the Royal Cougars Podcast.